Y'all, I think I just found the most cringe clip on the internet, dude. Cringe, but hilarious. It involves the Rogansphere. Duncan Trussell. What happened?
Fuego 4466 is paying $2 for me. He says, how would you rate Rogan's comedy? Be honest. Dude, he is so good. So good. And it basically, like, it's because of his podcast. Like, it's his podcast. Like, people just get mad at him. But shut the fuck up, man. He's so funny. And, like, he is, like, technically, like, he just sucks the air out of all of his jokes. There's no air.
The edge of the bed and just whispered in his ear.
When you watch him, it's like it's like you could see where, like, the martial arts thing gets into it, because it's just very it's very, like, efficient.
Have you ever been sober and squat down in front of a mirror and take a good assessment of what the fuck you're packing? Because let me tell you something, the extra skin might be the best looking part of that contraption.
He doesn't trick himself into, like, I do that. What's it called? There's a name for this effect. Oh my God. What's it called? Cargo cult. The cargo cult effect. It's crazy. Apparently during World War II, they dropped a bunch of like, supplies on these uncontacted islands. So just, you're on an uncontacted island.
Duncan Trussell immediately thought of World War II when trying to describe Joe Rogan's comedy, bruh. He was like, Rogan? Comedy? Nuremberg. Not gonna lie, he has me beat, though, because I think of the Spanish flu. I think Rogan's comedy, if not taken seriously, could be deadly. It's asinine. Like, this tells me everything I need to know about the Rogansphere. This shows me the current dynamics. You must obey the Tove's orders and not upset him, or he will expel you from the Rogansphere. Rogan has all these comics on a dog leash. You know what I mean? And Jamie lets them out. Jamie's the one who feeds them just twice a day. You know what I mean? Like, for the Rogansphere comics, do you not have any dignity? You know what I mean? Like, do you not see yourself just cucking for this egomaniac? Anyways, in this video, we're going to talk about Duncan Trussell. This came out a couple days ago. I don't know how I just got to it now. But him just over here, mental gymnastics to a T, trying to defend his daddy, Joe Rogan. So if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. I truly appreciate it.
Shut the fuck up, man. He's so funny. And, like, he is, like, technically, like, he just sucks the air.
Man is struggling to formulate a coherent sentence. Like, dude, take a sip of water. Like, take a sip of calmness. Chill out. It's not that hard of a question. Bro really got an aneurysm trying to describe his best friend's comedy. He said, and I quote, Rogan sucks the air with his jokes. I was like, Rogan sucks the life out of the room with his jokes. I don't get that whole comparison. You're like, there's no need for sucking in a joke. Either you got the goods or not. Take sucking out of the equation. And another thing that I caught within that same clip, at the very beginning, Duncan is talking to a commentator who's talking shit about Joe Rogan's comedy.
Shut the fuck up, man. He's so funny.
And then Duncan just immediately cuts him off and just like, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. And you see how defensive he gets over this question. You know what I mean? He gets so outraged because somebody's over here trying to question his daddy's comedy. It's like he's irked that somebody had the audacity to have a different taste than he does. Like, that right there shows me how firm of a grip Rogan has on his dogs. At least, loosen the collar a bit, bruh. You can see Duncan Trussell can barely freaking formulate a sentence. Like, let him breathe.
It is important to note that comedy is subjective. It's like music. Like, there's music that is people fucking go crazy for, and I listen to it and I'm like, what? I'm not into this. But that doesn't mean the music is bad. Fish, for example. I'm not into Fish. I like the Grateful Dead, which is everyone hates the Grateful Dead. You tell someone you like the Grateful Dead, they won't be friends with you anymore. But I don't like Fish. Now, does that mean Fish is bad? To me, it does. For in my reality tunnel, I don't like Fish. But it seems like with comedy, people have this they think that it's universal. It's not. It just isn't. Like to you, this comic or that comic might be dog shit, but to other people, they love them. I don't know why that's hard for people to wrap their head around. It's you know, it's an art. I hate saying this. It's an art. It's an art. It's art. It's a form of art, and so there's such an infinite array of art out there that
excuses, defense right here. You know, he's over here stating, oh, comedy's subjective. Then why were you so defensive just like a minute ago? You know what I mean? If comedy is so subjective, which I agree, actually, comedy is subjective, then why are you so defensive when somebody has a different taste than you? Why are you so defensive when somebody has a different perspective than you? I'm just like, if it's subjective, then agree to disagree and let's move forward. But no, because you're compromised, because you're within that same circle, you have to defend Daddy Rogan. And then he goes on to state that comedy is a form of art. It is something that we've been hearing, for the past 5-6 years with the Rogansphere comics. And I'm just like, dude, comedy's like, it's subjective, but like, comedy's not, like, I don't know. Comedy's a form of fart. There we go. I think that accurately describes it to a T. You got friggin' diarrhea, you got the wet farts, you got loud ones, and you got stand-up. You know, I think they all go together. It's a complete package. Like, comedians nowadays think they're Michelangelo. And for what? They're over here stating the same recycled trans joke for the past 6 years. Like, what are you talking about? At least be creative with your form of art. You know, you're over here saying the same punchlines every single joke, every single special. So while I do think, you know, previous day and age comedy, like, you know, I guess Norm Macdonald, Mitch Hedberg, that was to me art because it was creative. But nowadays, there is no creativity to this form of art that you complain about. Like, miss me with that, dude. And considering like the bootlicking nature that resides in the Rogansphere, I do wonder just how far these buffoons will go to defend their boy Rogan. Duncan Trussell warned Joe Rogan years ago, before Rogan even got to this level, of like the sycophantic nature and how, you know, bad influences will start, you know, leeching onto him to try to take advantage of his, you know, massive platform. And then now 6 years later, you see Duncan Trussell being the same exact figure that he warned Joe Rogan about earlier on in his career. Like, this is the circle of life right here, dude.
Bit of a bind is that all this human attention has been placed upon you, and you have to wrestle with your identity. And what are they up to? And then you start thinking, see, this is what I think about if I were you. Then you start thinking like, man, I've got this podcast that lots of people listen to. Has it ever happened where maybe some really intelligent person has manipulated me in an attempt to get me to disseminate some kind of information out into the world?
Good luck manipulating me, Duncan Trussell. I'm an American.
Shut the fuck up, man. He's so funny. And, like, he is, like, technically, like, he just sucks the air.
Can't even formulate a coherent sentence when being asked about his best friend's comedy. You know what I mean? As a matter of fact, miss me with the whole, oh, that's Joe Rogan's best friend. Of course, you know what I mean. He's going to have his back at all. Like, what are we talking about? You know what I mean? If that's your best friend, then that's the main guy you got to be honest with. That's the main guy you got to be like, hey, man, there's a lot of people who hate your guts. Why? Why is it that whenever you're doing a stand-up show, there's 50,000 people waiting outside with pitchforks wanting to slice your ass? What's going on? What's going on, dude? But no, instead, all these Rogansphere comics do is feed into Joe Rogan's egomania, his narcissism. If you were to ask me, hey, man, how would you describe Rogan's comedy? I would say traumatic, revolting, medieval. But that's just me. But comedy's subjective, right? Well, according to Duncan Trussell, it is. But God forbid you criticize Rogan's comedy because he will go off on you. That's it, dude. I don't have anything else to say. Y'all let me know what y'all think. But if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. I truly appreciate it. Till the next video. Peace, y'all.